honestly, I think it was perfect that we read First John, because it's gonna tie into these to this tweet I'm gonna be reacting to, posted by Autistic Clips, but it is Asmond reacting, I guess, to the Pope or something, or someone. I don't know if they edited this, but it looks like he reacted and said something about Christianity, and I got a very interesting comment saying that if we get our views on Christianity or something from Asmongold, or like our opinions about Christianity from Asmongold, that we have a problem. And it's like, look, I know that Asmond is not a Christian. He might be like agnostic or like actually complete atheist, but I think that this is a point that's been made by many Christians already, is that Christianity is it has been subverted to some extent. And I'll show you guys my response to this particular tweet after we watch the clip and everything. So let me go ahead and full screen this. So this is Asmond. He's talking about Christianity in this particular clip right here. Let me also go ahead and mute my music real quick so that we can go over this. All right, so this is Asmond reacting to Christianity. So Asmongold explains why he hates Christianity right now. And then they quote here, Christianity has been co-opted by post-liberal globalist BS. I like the idea of Christianity of the Crusades. I think that's great. I don't like nowadays. So I want to hear this full clip here. Let's see.
This is the reason why I said that I would go back to the church if we had another crusade. It's because this is precisely why I hate Christianity right now. Christianity it has been co-opted by post-liberal globalist bullshit. I like the idea of Christianity of like the Crusades. I think that's great. I don't like now.
I need to find. Does anybody know what stream this is from? Because I'd love to watch this whole like section here. So Christianity of the Crusades, I don't think was really that great. And I'm saying this as an Orthodox person because we lost a lot of Orthodox Christians in the Crusades. And I don't hate the Catholics. I don't hate Roman Catholics. But they kind of turned their back on like Constantinople and all of Byzantium. So the Crusades weren't that great. I mean, sure, the aesthetic looks cool, but you know, it's not about the aesthetic. It was about fighting, you know, the Muslims and what was it? Was it the Ottomans as well? Basically, the people tried to destroy us and that killed a bunch of, you know, Christians. That was like the point, to fight back against them. It was a holy war. And it's really tragic, though, what happened to a lot of, you know, Orthodox Christians during this time, which is why I'm like, I would not like to go back to the Crusades for that very reason. There was a lot of betrayal at some point, and a lot of bloodshed that probably didn't have to happen within the Christian circles at that time. But I will say that whether you guys like Asmond or not, whether you agree with his statement or not, I do think that Christianity, especially on the Protestant side, and this is where my reply comes in, and where I might have gotten into some trouble with some people, is this. So I said, part of the reason I left Protestantism is because a lot of it has been overrun by those looking to subvert the populace by destroying Christianity. It's not to say the average person within Protestantism doesn't love Christ or isn't seeking him. However, the fullness of Christianity is found in Eastern Orthodoxy. Our traditions have kept us grounded for 2,000 plus years, despite persecution. Subversion is really difficult to pull off in comparison. I do believe in order for there to be unity within Christianity, we have to unite in theology as well, because it informs how we walk in our walks, and it shows true unity. Not only that, the church Christ left us is not only spiritual, but visible as well, with traditions that help us get closer to him. And I got a lot of disagreements. I know that most of my audience is still Protestant, or it might be more like half and half now, or maybe it's 30, 30, 30. I have no idea what the numbers are. But I would say that subversion is just very clear within Protestantism. A lot of CIA, a lot of government agencies have infiltrated, especially like evangelical circles. And some people are like, oh, but you know, evangelicals and non-denoms aren't Protestant. And I think they are. I think that regardless of how you feel, they did come from the reformers at some point. These people were practically like, these different groups were like killing each other because of their differences in beliefs. And so, with Protestantism, I mean, it boils down to protesting the Catholic Church, I think in the simplest way to put it. And like, it sucks. It really does. But that doesn't mean that, government agencies haven't infiltrated these circles, especially the CIA. Like, I have watched a lot of Jade Eyre, but I've also kind of looked into it myself and how these global, institutions have used, Christianity to try and pervert and pollute the more traditional messages that we've had for thousands of years at this point. So, people have become too soft. I think Christianity's become very feminized in the West. And I'm not saying that, we should be supreme overlords over people, because that's not how Christianity works. But I think that it's become too lenient. We've become too accepting of people and their sin. And we haven't truly fought back, in the sense of, using, or not using, but rather proclaiming, what's in scripture, what's been clarified for a very long time now. Especially when it comes to things like the LGBT. And I'm not saying that Orthodoxy doesn't have these issues, but it's definitely not as prominent as it is on the Protestant side. A lot of LGBT rainbow mafia people have unfortunately taken over, even in the more high church circles. This is mostly for like Lutherans and Episcopalians, you guys, and even Anglicans, right? They have a lot of female leadership, female pastors, I don't know, even female clergy. It's really weird. Again, Orthodoxy doesn't really have these issues to that degree. And I think that people getting upset at me think that, oh, you think that Orthodoxy is perfect. No, we're people too. We have our problems. But I think because we're so grounded in the tradition of the apostles and the early church fathers, that we're kind of the last bastion. And again, I'm not here to question anybody's love for Christ. Like I mentioned in my statement, I don't feel that way. I think you guys very much love Jesus. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the people who are representing on the Protestant side, especially people you guys call leaders, that they're doing a good job. They're not doing a very good job. And it shows, and then it bleeds into your theology, right? To be more accepting of things that not supposed to, very humanist, all that other stuff. So I think that it can change, but I think people need to step up, start getting some leaders removed, and start, kind of reverting back to more traditional forms of Christianity. And not everyone's going to come to Orthodoxy, but at the very least, if we can start pushing out, these very clear agendas that the outside is having on us, like the LGBT, for example, that's going to be very, very crucial into kind of taking back the fight. And sure, we can argue separation of like church and state, but I think it was more so to protect the church from these outside influences of government and such. But I don't know. It's rough out here, man. But I definitely think that Asmon should come to Christianity. I do pray that he comes to the Lord at some point. And I think that I know he used to be Catholic, so he should probably look at, well, I don't know. Maybe I think he would be better off in Orthodoxy, to be really like honest, because Catholics have their problem with Vatican II and a lot of ecumenism, and unfortunately, some LGBT stuff creeping in there gradually there, and I don't know. I mean, if he does go back to Catholicism, that would be cool too. I'd be totally cool with that too. But we can't expect to go back to the time of Crusades or Byzantium or, the Roman Empire or anything like that. That's unrealistic. It's never going to happen. And, we got to focus on the present and how we can have kind of like a spiritual crusade, I would say, not an actual where we're, eliminating people, because I don't think Christ is calling us to do that. Obviously, we should defend ourselves. But we need more people to be serious about their faith. We need leaders to be held accountable, regardless of what, sect of Christianity you may be part of. And people need to be more on fire for their faith, but truly not just saying, I love Jesus and screaming it off the rooftops, but being theologically sound and being able to, even if it's like on a more basic level, right? Because if you're a layperson, you're not expected to know like 10 years of theology inside and out. Those are very few people who are able to do that. But truly like living it, being kind. I think one of the great things about being Orthodox is that, you know, we don't have to be out in the streets evangelizing 24/7, but rather through our actions and how we treat others, let that testimony speak really loud. And that would be an ideal route, I think, to go. And not being afraid of being canceled when we're online, to stand up for biblical values, to not be affirming. We can still be loving towards people who, you know, don't share our beliefs or who are not living, you know, a Christ-like life. But that doesn't mean affirm and say like, yeah, you can still be this and you'll be fine. No, we have to be honest. Like, you know, God does not want you to live this way, but there is hope in him. He doesn't force you, but, you know, to be Christian means to like die to yourselves, you know, but still showing them love, you know, showing them support. You know, when they're down, listen to them. When they're around, you know, pray for them, tell them that you're praying for them and things like that, I think would help a lot. But I'm curious to see what you guys are saying in the chat. I hope that what I said makes sense. I could go through all of these responses. I have a couple friends who I love very dearly who are still Protestant. And I know that they...
So kinda like the Billy Graham crusade back in the day for the spiritual crusade.
Billy Graham? I mean, I don't know about that, because I've never really heard of that. But sure, yeah, like a sort of spiritual crusade I think would be really important. But I think it would have to be one that isn't like overly aggressive, over the top, because that will definitely turn more people away than it will bring them in. And it's hard. It's really hard to balance that, because a lot of people will take even the kindest sentiment that you may have or the most kindest wording that you may have, and they'll twist it and say that, oh, you're being a bigot, oh, you're being a homophobe, oh, you're being this. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm just sharing my beliefs with you and hope that you come to Christ at some point. So yeah, these are a lot of responses. I'm curious to know what you guys think, and if you want to respond to that. I got a lot of disagreements because, again, most of my friends and people who follow me are Protestant, but I do appreciate their views nonetheless. Helps me kind of ground myself in my own and to learn how to explain it a bit better so that people don't feel like I'm attacking them, which is never my intention. My intention is never to attack anyone, but I do know that disagreements can come across that way. So hopefully we should be good there. But if anybody has like the full clip of this, we can definitely go ahead and watch it if you guys know what stream this is. I don't know if, I'm assuming this is something that he said yesterday or the day before. Nico said, you can recognize salvation through the fruits of the grace, but salvation is through grace alone. Work and action is just a natural effect of grace. I wouldn't say I fully agree with that. But I think I see what you're trying to say. Asmon has admitted that he doesn't research the issues he claims because he knows psychology. He doesn't know anything else. Asmon is a degenerate heretic as he doesn't know what he's talking about, says Elder. I think he does need to research. This sentiment isn't just shared by him. It's shared by different people, even within the Christian spaces, especially more like high church Christian sects. But I definitely do think that he needs to like look deeper into Christianity for sure. Especially if he doesn't understand the current issues and climate that we're facing. But I think it's gotten to the point where it's pretty obvious that Christianity has had a serious decline. And I'm not talking about numbers, because numbers, it's still, I think, the biggest, if not one of the biggest religions in the world. I think there's been a very big moral decline. And it's not just one sect of Christianity, it's all of them. Some much more than others, but overall, I think that there has to be a shaking of people. I think that we need to really like narrow down and like laser focus, because even if we don't know the exact end date of this world, that doesn't mean that we're going to live forever, right? Because Christ could come like 20 years from now, or 50, let's say, and pretty much all of us are gone at this point, right? You know, for our own salvation and for helping others, you know, hopefully achieve salvation, we need to be serious, because again, we only have this one shot, guys. We only have this one shot in this life, and we got to make the best of it. And there's so many people who desperately need it to. So it's not a game. Like, people's souls are not a game. Our own souls are not a game. This life is not a game. We can live frivolously like the world wants us to. But as Christians, I think that we know better. We know better than to do that. Because time is so precious and it's so limited, and we don't know when we're going to close our eyes. We want to make sure that we live that godly life, not only for ourselves and for our family and friends, but for others in the world to see, and hopefully, embrace Christ at some point, for sure. And that's one way to fight, for sure, is trying to live that narrow path, right? The Bible and the Gospels, it talks about that narrow road, and that most people take the wide gate that leads to destruction. And it's not easy, man. It's not easy at all. No matter which way you slice it, and God didn't promise us that it would be easy. And I think that it's good that it's not easy. I think when things are easy, you don't value it, you don't respect it, you don't love it, and I think when things are hard, it forces you to stop and to reflect. And so, I think that Asmon, is someone who can stop and reflect. Why he might choose not to, I don't know. But I think that with Christianity, if he really stopped and reflected on it, and he already agrees that Christianity is better for Western culture, I see no reason for him not to live as a Christian. To be really honest with you, I see no reason for him not to come to Christ. But the thing is with people like Asmon is that he may appreciate the tenets and the reward, but I don't think he appreciates the process or thinks that, there is no greater power or whatever. And let's be honest, if we leave it up to humans, we will choose destruction probably 8 to 9 times out of 10. And without God, we're gonna end up choosing destruction more than not. But when we choose him and we are transformed by him, it's less of an issue. So I really hope he does think about it. I hope he prays about it. And, at the very least, he starts watching other Christian creators. I don't know if you guys know about Tectone, but Tectone, I think in the last year or so, we're coming up on Charlie's death if we haven't passed it already. And I know that shook Tectone up, and he decided to come back into Eastern Orthodoxy. I don't know how his walk has been when it comes to that. I think he keeps it relatively private, but he did get married actually in the last couple days. I hope he had an Orthodox wedding, but I would love if Tectone talked to Asmon about faith. I think that would be really cool, especially since they're up there. They're big creators. They understand each other probably more than I'd ever understand either of them. I don't know. I think Asmon's life would be much better if he just embraced Christianity, to be honest. The problem with your reply, Celeste, is you're only evangelicals Protestant. There are only 3 Protestant denominations. I mean, that's what some argue, but if you're talking about like classical Protestantism, I guess, but I'd consider evangelicals to still be Protestants because you're still protesting, the Catholic Church overall. But I know some people said like, oh, it's just Lutheran, Anglican, Reformed circles that are Protestants. And I mean, sure, you're the original group of Protestants, but that doesn't mean that these other groups aren't. But I guess if you want to consider non-denominational, it's all a thing, I suppose. Church of England has definitely been captured. Yeah, no, it's been pretty bad for you guys. I feel really bad for the Church of England.
Was a Protestant pastor that went around preaching Christ, and I think back in the 50s, 70s he had crusades to bring people to Christ.
Oh, that's insane.
And uncle were saved at them.
Oh, wow. I did not hear that. That's really interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're always in a spiritual crusade, but I think we need to be more intentional. I think intentionality is like what we're lacking overall nowadays. Revian Core said, I have my own personal beliefs that aren't connected to any single one. Everything experienced to this point will continue to experience. Huh? Nico says he lives in South America. There's no Orthodox church. If I want to be part of the church, I have to choose between Catholicism and Protestantism. That's That's interesting. Yeah, I know in South America they don't have like a lot of parishes. I mean, it's already like not much in America in comparison to other denominations, but Mac and Cheese says we absolutely can have a new crusade. I'd argue we should have a new coalition between all denominations to crusade for the protection of Christians in Africa and the Middle East. Christians are literally being in the region. I mean, that's true. There are a lot of Christians that are in the Middle East and Africa getting destroyed by Islam, unfortunately, and other barbaric people around them, and it's truly sad. And people say, oh, you Christians, you think you're being persecuted. I mean, maybe not in the West yet, but definitely in like the Middle East, a lot of Christians cannot openly practice their faith, or else they are threatened with their lives, which a lot are willing to die for their faith. And it's amazing, but it is rough. Christians are in fact being persecuted across the world. It's not up for debate, I think. But anyway, welcome in, guys. Thank you, Jim Farm, for the kicks. I really appreciate it. And God bless you. Thank you so much. I have to look into that Billy Graham stuff. That sounds really interesting that he would call it the Crusades. Spiritual Crusades, basically. But yeah, Tectone is officially married. Nobuteru. Alrighty. So, moving on to the next topic here. You guys know that we've been having this just AI craziness happening. And as of yesterday, I believe, or actually no, it's been like the last 2 to 3 days, Zach, I hate saying his name, but this guy named Zach, he said that Twitch and Amazon are apparently planning to use streams to train generative AI. Multiple sources tell me that will be announced in the coming months. Despite some internal friction against it, creators may be able to opt out of some training data. So, look, AI is here to stay. Love it or hate it. And I find it really interesting that this is happening, because I'm sure they already scraped data, but now to probably train whatever models that they have based off people's content. I know that there have been some big VTubers. I believe Iron Mouse is one of them. Don't quote me though. That said she would leave the platform if something like this ever happened. And I'm very curious about her and other big VTubers if they're actually going to leave the platform now that this is in the works. And I'm definitely curious to know with their Gen AI models, is it going to be that they can recreate how streamers look? Can people going forward, make clips that obviously another streamer didn't say and generate their own scene with their favorite streamer? I'm really curious as to how far they're going to push this technology, or if it's going to be for clipping purposes. I'm not really sure what streaming platforms can use AI for outside of maybe promotional material, which honestly, if you can make a clip of any streamer, like an AI clip, which I know people do it already, but Twitch makes it easier for you to do it, that is going to drive so many people up a wall. I have no doubt. So I don't know what you guys think about this. I think that AI is here to stay. I think it's a tool. The problem are the people behind it, the people who use, and here's a big VTuber, Amelie, coming out to say ill, and people saying that we're gonna be guinea pigs. Oh boy, here's a Kirsha clip. I wonder what we're gonna hear here. Let's see, hold on. Curious.
The fact that I'm still here after all the bullshit I've survived is nothing short of a miracle.
Yatta?
But I will not give in to despair. I must
What
keep...
what is the super chat? Hold on.
Now, for me. Here. Please.
Cries. Wait, this guy said how some streamers are training AI. Look, I'm just saying, if the AI trades off of Kirsha, we might be a little cooked here. There's gonna be a lot of cursed knowledge running around, and I don't know if I'm ready for that, actually. I'm not ready for this, but I really want to finish this clip, so let's see what this is.
Yeah, that one. Thank you. Next, do you want the? I don't know if I could do a big. My tummy is upset, but I will try.
I'm scared, dude. Do I watch the rest of this clip? I'm scared, chat. I don't know what I should do. I want to finish it out of morbid curiosity for what this clip is, but at the same time, it's Kirsha, man. I love her. She's one of my Oshis, but like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. Okay, chat. Heads or tails? We land on heads. We watch the rest of this First, ask Lawless to censor. Oh, okay, let's see. What is this?
Let's see here.
Kirsha, no. Kirsha, no. She's about to break the AI trader. Dude, she's gonna break it and send it into Spiral.
Okay, it's about 30 seconds.
What the heck? She's literally gonna break the AI. What? You think I could train the AI on gremlin noises? All right, chat. Anyway, we've trained the AI. There we go. We've got the clip for the AI to learn about learn on. Goodness gracious, she held that for 30 freaking seconds. Dear Lord, Kirsha, woman, you've got pipes. Oh man. People in the replies complaining about a company using all their data to train AI on X. No. Oh, all the virtues say. Oh, dude, this is great. Well, I can't wait to see the virtue signaling VT relief. Anyway, how are we doing, chat? We're loving this timeline. Nyla said, I think big streamers like Iron Mouse will leave. She still has her Twitter and even blue check mark, so if she allows herself to feed Grok, she will do the same with Twitch. Clout and money mean too much for her to quit. Oh, you don't think that big streamers will leave? I mean, they say that, but they're never... I doubt they're gonna leave. I doubt it. The Hassan AI would be easy. Just program it with the phrases, what? You don't understand, and death to America, no one would know the difference. Oh, man. I mean, look. You guys definitely don't have to be fans of AI. I think that there should be, precautions and things when it comes to it. I don't necessarily think all of it is great, but I think it's fun to use. I'm not like anti-AI. I might say, precautions, and we should find a way to make it ethical as we possibly can. That would be ideal. But I don't know. I think that people who go on the other extreme though and go nuclear about AI and saying, yeah, you guys are done, you're over, your jobs are done, you're horrible people for hating AI. Like we need to calm down and not stoop to people's level. That's one thing that I've been seeing on the pro AI space. The behavior can be much better. And I get that we're frustrated. I get that people are frustrated at these anti-AI virtue signalers, but at the end of the day, if we stoop to their level, are we really better than them? No. But yeah, I'm very curious to know how they're going to be pushing this. So this guy also added, Twitch has been looking into AI for years. On 2024, CPO Mikey Minty said that they will have a role to play in training Amazon AI. And Clancy said that he wants AI on the platform many times. Let's see. So Gen AI opens up endless possibilities for stimuli. What? So he's saying that he wants a bunch of more content. Is this what's going on? So I'm just, what are they going to do with the AI? I mean, I can understand using like, I don't know. No, Amazon is Alexa. Alexa, play Despacito. I can understand that, but I'm curious what they do with all that data that they got.
Every day I live a second life at work. MLTPPP I work W/R actively hostile to the word and input I give is very quickly discarded X. Embryos are just clumps.
I think Tunnel trained AI and Twitch data during dev stream for funsies and ended up pretty brain dead. Oh boy. More AI data centers. Let's beat China to this stuff, baby. That's funny. I mean, look. I'm just saying. If we can have those AI cat girls, it's worth it. It's worth it, chat. Think about all of the AI cat girls we'll get. You can have them short. You can have them tall. You can have them gigantic. You can have them pink, blue, of all colors, of all shapes and sizes. Think about the AI cat girls that we can have overrunning the world. Chat. If you don't think that's worth, I think that you're in the wrong stream. I'm messing with that, by the way. No, well, you know what? I'm really not. The AI cat girl apocalypse will be coming shortly to a Twitch near you. Thank you, Gremlin Magos, for the 20 maple dollars. Every day live a second life at work. I have no idea what that is. And oh, whoa, what? Hello? What? Wait, you like work at an IVF clinic? Oh my gosh. Are you a scientist? What is this? What is this super chat? Oh. Yeah, cat girls, you imagine how big the hair was. If there wasn't a war against AI, I'd find it really hard to shoot a cat girl. What? More fox girls? Okay, you can have your fox girls. I'll have my cat girls. We'll call it a day, okay? All right, and then the next tweet that we'll be going over is this one right here by Sweets. Do not go harass this person, and do not add to the fire where you do not need to, okay? As much as this tweet, look, all I have to say is this person needs Christ. So this tweet, which obviously the replies were locked very early on because they got a lot of pushback. So this person said, I'm tired. You want to be black so bad. Our skin color isn't the only thing that makes us black. Years of oppression make us black. Years of our ancestors, our parents, our loved ones suffering makes us black. We have a wonderful and beautiful culture, but there's so much more to being black than what you see. Unlike people who pretend to be black in online spaces and use it to invade spaces designed for black people, we can't turn our skin color off when we shut down our computers. And I'm so sick and tired of people in online spaces giving excuses to people, allowing people to be hateful and ignorant. Oh boy. I think this was in response. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there is a VTuber, a trans VTuber, who has a black model based on some sort of like sheep or something with like multicolored hair. And this person recently came out and said that, you know, they made the design like way beforehand. And they did the whole VTuber versus IRL trend, which I think is kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. And they showed a picture of themselves and they said that they're basically a light-skinned person in real life, but they have a black trans VTuber that kind of represents like who they are, like their mindset, whatever it might be. And a lot of people have went after this person. And in my opinion, I think that people should be able to create whatever VTuber they want. I don't care if you're not black and you make a black VTuber, who cares? Think about Kenji. He has a white VTuber model and the guy is black in real life and he's super cool and funny. Now, a lot of people were saying, black people, use white VTubers because for safety reasons, because they won't be accepted in the community. And it's like, look, it doesn't, like, sure, maybe people might prefer light-skinned characters. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you can be black. If you want a black VTuber and you're black, go do it. I'm not a super white woman with green eyes and pink hair in real life. But I wanted to design my character this way because I thought it was cute and I really like the color combination. And who cares? It's a drawing. It's a freaking drawing, bro. It's pixels on a freaking screen. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Like, I was gonna be peaceful about it, but I'm gonna be really honest. I'm tired of you being tired of it, and I'm tired of you making these kind of dumb statements. No offense. Actually, no, big offense. Because as someone who's also a minority, and I say it here, so as a Hispanic woman, I'm tired of hearing minorities cry about oppression, focus on your present and the freedoms you have now, Stop being dragged down by the past and make something of yourself. Dear Lord, give these people understanding. And then I added here, look, playing the minority or oppressed card may seem like a benefit short term, but it truly makes you insufferable, which it really does. It's not to say the past didn't happen, but there's evil and vile people in every race. Don't be one of them. Call them all out on all sides and move on. And, you know, I just like what happened to Merritt. I understand that there are people who are truly racist and disgusting and hate people just on the color of their skin, but it goes on all sides. There are black people who hate white people. There are white people who hate black people. Hispanics are also actually pretty racist, even though we're mixed. There are plenty of actual racist people. I do not consider myself to be racist. I genuinely don't care what skin color you are, as long as you're a good or relatively good human being. Good in quotation marks, because none of us are actually good. But as long as you're trying to be respectful to people, I quite frankly don't care if you're black as charcoal or white as a piece of paper. Just make good content, be a solid person, and stop crying about your race. I don't care. Like, no one cares, dude. Just stop. God made you beautiful, wonderfully. Be proud of the fact that our Lord and Savior made you. And go out there, kick some butt, be awesome. And yeah, there will be people who will do that. But you will find more than enough people who will not do that to you, who will not reject you based on skin color, who will love you and appreciate you for who you are. And I'm saying I don't care in the sense of, you know, this kind of mindset doesn't need to be here. Because as long as you're doing your best and you're making great content, people are going to look past whatever your model looks like at some point. Yes, that will be maybe an entry point for a lot of people, but the people who love your content and who will love you and appreciate you for you aren't going to worry about it. Just don't be insufferable. I don't make me being Hispanic a big portion of who I am. You know, I joke about it and I meme about it. I don't try to paint it as like, oh, you guys need to follow me because I am a minority, because I'm a person of color. You know, I make it so that, you know, you guys think I'm Mexican. I'm not Mexican by any stretch of the imagination. People think that, oh, Hispanic, you like tacos or something. And it's like, no, I mean, there's more Hispanics than Mexicans, than just Mexicans. But I just like trolling, you know. I'll speak in Spanish sometimes. I'll do some Spanglish, you know, I'll make it a joke because I want you guys to enjoy. And I want to share a little bit about my culture with you. And whatever, but I'm not like, oh, you need to follow me because I'm Hispanic, because I'm oppressed, because of this and because of that. Like, I'm not here for that. You guys are not here for that. Like, why? And then the other joke is like, well, not joke, but the other thing that got me in trouble is that as a Hispanic woman, you guys know that I was honest about me supporting ICE. And a lot of people got mad at me because it's like, aren't you Hispanic? Why are you being such a race traitor? Why are you supporting the people who are going after your people? And I'm like, here's the thing. If you listen to a lot of Hispanic people who came here legally, who got their papers and have businesses and are very successful, you're going to know that they absolutely loathe the people who come illegally into this country. I loathe the fact that people come into this country illegally, as well as someone who was born here and my parents did the legal thing and came here legally and whatnot. I get very upset because they're cutting the line. They get benefits. I pay taxes. They don't have to pay taxes. They work under the table, and it's ridiculous. So this whole race thing is an unnecessary conversation in the space. I think that we should focus on, you know, bring positive parts of your culture, right? I would have loved if this person talked about, you know, one thing that I enjoy about my culture and that I'm bringing into my VTuber as a black person is, I don't know, like jazz or blues or something positive about, you know, your ethnicity, your culture. I would have much preferred you did something like that instead of complaining and being, you know, a victim. You're not a victim. My thing with the argument when it comes to like black people and slavery is slavery has existed for such a long time and all races have been part of it. I don't condone it. I don't think that it's right. But we gotta be honest that before the 1900s or 1800s or whatever, slavery was already a thing. And unfortunately, because humans are evil, they're wicked, they'll do it. But that doesn't mean hold on to the past. I could be like, oh, you know, people came into my parents' country and they destroyed us and complain about it all the time. But, you know, we're over. We've moved past that. We're building. We can hopefully reconcile with people as much as we possibly can and move on. Don't let the sins of your father hold you back from being a great person today. You can't go back in time in a time machine and go fix it. It's over. That's it. Stop rewriting history to make it seem like you're all innocent in that. Y'all ain't innocent. No one's innocent. We're all evil humans. And that is the motivational speech for today. Stop making it about someone brought up an Uncle Ruckus. Dude, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I love the Boondocks. I think it's a great show. It's funny. But yeah, the minority card has been long played. I think a lot of us are exhausted, and I don't know why this was brought up, but you know, not as a horror commenting cracks me up all the time, man. But yeah, that was an interesting tweet that came across this week, and I just feel like we should pray for these people. I think that they are stuck in victim mode, and there's no reason to be a victim when you can be really cool and awesome. So that was it for my Twitter reactions. Now we must watch videos and react to videos. Uncle Ruckus chatting and driving. I'm missing the beer. Please, dude, leaflet shorts. If you're Julio, brother, I need you to get off your phone. I need you to drive that car and not chat in my chat. And also, I have a slime to sell you in Brooklyn, you know, if you don't know who Leaflet is. Better to be a survivor than a victim, for real, dude. Oh, man. Mr. East Coast Ghost said, yup, imagine you're in the only lane open in the grocery store and then you have 20 people cut in front of you because they only have a few items. The rage you would have in that scenario is the same. For real, though. For real. Lucas is like, I'm Hispanic and I love ICE. Yeah. We love our ICE officers. Stereotyping white people as racist slave advocates is the same as stereotyping a black person as a slave and a backseater. Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. And look, I'm gonna say this again. I love white people. We love white people in this community. Next, you'll tell me Leaf isn't a real slime girl, dude. I'm telling you. I swear I saw her. She was a blue slime. She was all over the walls. She was creeping all over the walls in her little slime form. I swear I saw her. When I woke up, it was dark in the room. She was there in the corner. She was looking at me and she said, "If you don't make content, I'm gonna be back tomorrow." If we call out the racists, we need to call out the identitarians like powder. What does identitarian even mean? I need to Google this. An identitarian refers to a person or political movement focused on preserving a specific culture, ethnic, or national identity, most commonly associated with the far-right anti-immigrant movement in Europe and North America that opposes multiculturalism. I feel, and I haven't gotten to talk to Powder much, and I'd love to, in the future, if she's ever down, her opinion on that stuff, because we also have to be honest, especially in America, they're trying to like erase white people, I think, to some extent, and their culture, trying to make them feel guilty for being white. So I don't have a problem with white people trying to, you know, if they want to stay within their culture, they can. It's perfectly fine. Now, obviously, we shouldn't go to the other extreme and say, oh, these other people shouldn't exist, especially if they assimilate. I think it's important, regardless of whatever country you're in, you need to assimilate to where you are. You know, you need to live like those people do to some extent. It doesn't mean erase your culture, your background, but be respectful of the place that you're in if it's not your home country where your culture is primarily accepted. And of course, for cultures that are much less compatible with Western culture, you know, I think those people need to spend a little more time, you know, assimilating and truly getting, instead of trying to hijack the culture that's already there. I think that both extremes have their problems, and I would say I lean more towards people should try to preserve their culture and ethnicity, but to not be against, you know, like people saying Christianity, for example, that, oh, race mixing, you know, is bad. Oh, don't race mix. And it's like, I think that's stupid, especially as a Christian. Let people marry whoever they want to marry. And if they want to marry someone of their same ethnicity, race, whatever you want to call it, let them do it. There's no problem with that. I don't see a problem. But also don't be like, oh, you know, if you're a white person, you shouldn't marry a black person. Like, that's stupid. Let them marry whoever the heck they want. And as Christians, the first thing that we should be focusing on is, you know, are they truly someone who loves the Lord? Are they living a Christ-like life? You know, race, skin, all of that is like tertiary to me when it comes to it. And yeah, it could create a conflict in terms of cultures and the way that you are, you know, brought up. But I think at this point, you know, it's not like you're the first immigrants, like you're first generation Americans. No, this is like people who are second, third, fourth, maybe even generation of whatever. And you've probably assimilated to American culture and probably more or less the same in terms of upbringing and values and belief systems. So it's really not that different. It might be different if you're saying like, oh, you know, we both came from different countries and we're both, you know, immigrants new to this land and we have completely different cultures. You know, that might be a little problematic, but I think for the most part, and this is speaking as an American, most of us are probably some sort of not first generation American at this point. So it's not, I don't think it's really that problematic rather.